Hey everyone, Irena here from Reactive Software Development Agency, and today I'm going to show you how to create a search bar in Bubble using Xano as backend. For this tutorial, we are going to use a plugin called Fuzzy Search. Now let's see, in this repeating group, I have few movies that are fetched from Xano via API connector. And if I start typing something in the search bar, for example, AM, then in the results I am getting the movies that contains AM in their title. If I type something else, Amsterdam for example, then the result is the movie with the name Amsterdam. So let's see how we can create this. First, we are going to create an index in our movies table. Indexes are used to quickly search certain data without having to search every single row in a database table. So here in indexes, we are going to create new index, and we will give this index type search because it will be its main purpose. We will name this index search movies and specify the language, which will be English in our case. Now we're going to choose the fields that we're going to search by. In our case it is title only, but here we can choose more than one field, and we will leave this to first priority. Save this. Now that we've built our index, let's see how to create the search query. Now what do we have here? We have our input search query. We are querying all records from our movies table, and we are returning this in the response. So let's create this. Now here we want to add our search input. Our input will be text element, and we'll name this search query. Now let's save this. Let's take a look at our function query all records. And first here we need to create custom query. So on this pencil, with this function we actually want to query the movies that will include in their title the value that we are going to get from our input search query. And previously we specified that our search field will be title. So from this list over here, we are going to search our title field from the movies table. The operator will be includes, and for text, we are going to choose our input search query. Now let's save this. This looks fine. Now let's run and debug. We have some value in our search query input, and if we run this, in the response we are actually getting the movies that contains the word black in their title. We have 3 movies that contains the word black. Now that was super fast, but we still need to take another step to make our searching experience through this movie table even better. Now it's time to talk about ranking and filtering. So let's go back to our function query all records and head to the output. What we need to do here is to add an eval, so we can actually rank these results and define more accurate search experience. So we are going to add an eval on this pencil, and here on the add icon. Our eval field will be the index that we previously created on our movies table, and we name this index search movies as rank. So rank is the name of our eval. Here also we need to add filter. So on add filter, our filter will be search rank, and this is predefined filter from Xano. And for text, we are going to choose our input search query. Now let's update this. That looks fine. Now one more thing is left to be done, and that is sorting. So let's go back to our function, head to the output, and on the return, I'm going to click on Add Sort. I want to sort the results by rank. So rank was the name of our eval. Here it is. And I want them to be by descending order, so I will get the most accurate results up to the top. Let's save this, save again, and that's it. Last step is to see how to connect this in our bubble editor. Now in our bubble editor, we are going to add another API, and we'll name this Movies API. And we also want to create another API call. So we'll name this Get Movies Query. We'll use this as data and with get method, and here we need to paste the URL of the movies endpoint from Xano. So let's go back to Xano and let's just copy this endpoint URL and paste it here. For our case, in this tutorial, we don't need actually to add header because we don't have authorization for this, but we still, however, need to add parameter. And as a parameter, we are going to pass our search query. As a value, we are going to enter title of some existing movie in our database so we can initialize this call. Private should be unmarked because we want this search query to be dynamic. And allow blank should be marked because we want to actually see all movies. Now let's initialize this call. Now here we can see the fields in our movies database. And if I click on show raw data, I can actually see our response, which is movie with title Amsterdam. That looks great. Now let's save this. Let's call up this tool and we will go back to our bubble editor. Now here we have default input and this will be our search input. It will hold the search criteria as a value, so whatever we type here, it will be shown in our results. And in the visual elements, we have this search and autocorrect element, which is plugin called Fuzzy Search. You can download it in plugins. And I will just drag this and place it beside our input search. We don't need to be too large, so 10 pixels width and height should be enough. That looks great. So it is really important here to match the IDs of both elements, the fuzzy search element and the input search element, because they will be connected that way. So on our fuzzy search element, we are going to enter ID, search movies, for example, and let's just copy this ID and go to our input search element and just paste it in the ID attribute field. Next, we are going to set the data type and the data source to the fuzzy search element. Just a small correction over here. So for data type here, we want our API, get movies query. Here it is. And for the data source, we will get data from an external API. API provider should be get movies query API. And here is our parameter that we initialized previously. And as a value here, we are going to pass whatever we will enter in our input search. So we will choose input searches value. And there it is. We are going to set first field to be searched by title. Awesome. Now the next step is to tell this repeating group which type of content in data source should use. So for type of content, it will be get movies query. And for the data source, it will be get data from an external API. API provider is get movies query. And here actually we want to leave this parameter blank because we want this repeating group to have some content even if we don't write anything in the input search. In the conditional, however, we will set condition if we have something in our input search or if input search value is not empty, then we will change this repeating group data source, get data from an external API, get movies query, and actually as a search query we are going to get input searches value. Now we just need to fill type of content and data source for the cards. Let's just do this quickly. So type of content would be get movies query and current sales get movies query. Here we need our image, poster URL, and here we need our movie title. Awesome. Now everything looks fine to me. We're finished and let's try this. Let's preview the page. I want to hide this debugger, so I will just remove it from the URL. Now we have our movies. If I type something, for example, Amsterdam, and here it is. Or if I type Minions, here it is. And this is how to search in Bubble using Xano. Hope you liked this video and see you next time.